On the night of October 19th, 2025, the Midwest's beating heart was gripped by terror. A sultry Chicago evening twisted into a nightmare as a ferocious line of thunderstorms tore through northern Illinois. In moments, the iconic skyline was swallowed by a deluge of rain. Lightning cracked like a war zone, exposing flooded streets and shrieking winds. The National Weather Service unleashed a barrage of severe thunderstorm alerts, followed by a chilling tornado warning. Winds roared past 70 mph. Hail bombarded rooftops, and over 5 inches of rain drowned the city in hours. From Rockford to the Loop, darkness engulfed neighborhoods as power lines collapsed and sirens wailed through the tempest. By midnight, downtown Chicago was a watery wasteland. Cars bobbed like debris, festivals were abandoned, and the city's resilience faced nature's wrath once more. By 8:30 p.m., the storm was no longer a warning. It was a ravenous beast rampaging through Cook County. Winds howled at 70 mph, screaming through skyscrapers, hurling trash cans and shattering glass across sidewalks. Over Lake Michigan, the sky turned an abyss of black, pierced only by lightning that ignited the skyline like a strobe. In McHenry County, quarter-sized hailstones pummeled homes and vehicles. In Marengo, trees snapped like twigs, blocking roads and trapping families in their homes. First responders battled through torrents, their sirens drowned by relentless thunder. Downtown, thousands of concert-goers at the Windy City Smokeout Festival were herded into garages and college buildings. At Guaranteed Rate Field, the White Sox game halted mid-inning as rain transformed the diamond into a murky lake. By 10 p.m., the power grid buckled. Streetlights flickered out, leaving only the glow of emergency vehicles reflecting off floodwaters. The storm didn't just flood streets, it silenced Chicago's pulse. For a few eerie hours, Chicago lay hushed under the weight of the deluge. By midnight, the city was unrecognizable. Garfield Park was battered by over 6 inches of rain, while North Lawndale's basements filled to the brim with filthy floodwater. Cars drifted through intersections like ghost ships, their alarms screaming beneath the storm's roar. On the west side, firefighters waded waist-deep through flooded viaducts, pulling drivers from Western Avenue. One man, trembling atop his car under flickering lightning, clutched his phone, praying for a signal. In Rockford and Loves Park, the destruction was merciless. The 54-year tradition of the Alpine Kiwanis Brat Days Festival was obliterated in minutes as 60 mph winds shredded tents, grills, and sound systems. It looked like a tornado hit, one organizer lamented. Power outages swept Winnebago and Boone counties, leaving 2,500 in darkness. For many, the night dragged on endlessly, filled only with the pounding of rain and the faint hum of generators. As dawn crept in, sleepless residents moved furniture upstairs, checked on neighbors, and watched floodwaters inch toward their doors. Chicago survived the night, but the ordeal was far from over. Meteorologists dubbed it one of the most explosive summer storms in decades. This wasn't just a thunderstorm, it was a mesoscale convective system, a monstrous supercluster of storms fueled by humidity, wind shear, and the city's trapped heat. A warm, moisture-soaked air mass from the Gulf of Mexico collided violently with cooler Canadian air, igniting a battleground over the Midwest. The system grew, merged, and birthed cells with hurricane-like fury. Radar showed storm tops piercing 50,000 feet, spawning rotation signatures that teased tornado strength in Bureau and Putnam counties. The National Weather Service's warnings couldn't keep up with the storm's ferocity. Experts later tied the chaos to climate-driven instability. Warmer air holds more moisture, supercharging rainfall. Flash floods, once a decade's rarity, now strike every few years. By 3 a.m., the skies quieted, but the wreckage told a grim story. One of a changing climate and a city unready for what's next. When dawn broke, Chicago's devastation came into sharp relief. Streets, once alive with morning bustle, were now silent rivers of mud. Neighborhoods along Ogden Avenue, Ashland, and Kinsey Street lay submerged, residents peering from second-story windows, awaiting rescue. In Garfield Park, James Hall stood knee-deep in his basement, staring at ruined furniture adrift in murky water. "It's biblical," he said. "I've never seen rain like this." Across town, Sean Gillens Vasquez and neighbors battled rising sewers with rakes and shovels, but the flood was relentless. "You could see it pouring from the drains," she said. "It was unstoppable." In Rockford, the economic blow was as brutal as the physical. The canceled Alpine Kiwanis Brat Days Festival, a vital fundraiser, left charities reeling. 54 years, and we've never canceled," said co-chair Karen Tilley, surveying the wreckage. "It's heartbreaking. For thousands. This wasn't just a storm. It was a catastrophe that shattered lives, homes, and memories, proving no one, even far from the coast, is safe from nature's fury." By sunrise, Chicago's emergency response roared into action. Sirens pierced the air as firefighters, police, and public works crews tackled rescues and road closures. At least a dozen water rescues unfolded overnight, many saving motorists trapped in viaducts turned into treacherous pools. Rockford's mayor, Tom McNamara, urged residents to stay home. For everyone's safety, avoid the roads. We're assessing damage, closing dangerous routes, and helping residents recover. The National Guard stood ready, while power companies battled to restore electricity to 3,000 customers still in the dark. In North Lawndale and Humboldt Park, volunteers formed human chains to clear drains and guide the elderly to safety. Shelters in high schools, community centers, and church basements offered hot coffee, blankets, and flashlights as lifelines. Even as the skies cleared, fear lingered. Meteorologists warned of another storm line looming within 48 hours, a stark reminder that recovery hung by a thread. Chicago endured the night, but the fight was just beginning. The question on everyone's mind: how many more nights like this await? As the waters receded, the storm's scars marked every corner. Mud-stained walls, uprooted trees, and waterlogged cars told of a night that pushed Chicago to its breaking point. Cleanup crews labored for days, hauling debris and pumping thousands of gallons from underpasses and basements. City engineers found cracks in aging drainage tunnels and overwhelmed pumping stations, confirming what residents feared. Chicago's infrastructure, built decades ago, can't handle modern storms. The economic toll skyrocketed. Insurance claims hit tens of millions, and West Side small businesses faced bleak futures. Nonprofits, gutted by lost fundraisers, struggled to rebound. Yet, amid the ruin, resilience shone. Neighbors shared generators, cooked for each other, and turned community centers into relief hubs. Social media transformed into a lifeline for safety checks and volunteer calls. Meteorologists called the July 2025 storm a wake-up call, proof the Midwest now faces floods once thought exclusive to coasts. It wasn't just weather, it was a warning. Chicago and America must adapt before the next deluge.